The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we've initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Success Factors, Time to Love Work Again, a session on SAP's cloud-based HCM solutions using the SaaS model. Our guest speaker today is Sejal Vijay Parekh. She's a senior manager at Accenture. Sejal leads the SuccessFactors capability for Accenture India. She has more than 20 years of experience in human capital management across technologies such as Oracle, SAP, and now SuccessFactors. She is responsible for building the capability and proficiency, recruitment, shaping proposals, building tools, accelerators, and assets to industrialize delivery and faster time to market. We expect this webinar to last for an hour with 45 minutes of presentation and the remainder time for Q&A round. So if you have any questions, please submit them using Questions tab on your control panel. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Sejal.
Thank you, Deepika. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for all taking out time from your busy schedules to attend this session. I hope you enjoy this session, and as Deepika introduced myself, I am Sejal and I lead the SuccessFactors practice for Accenture India. Been almost 15 years now in the SAP HCM area, and then the last 3 years focusing completely on SuccessFactors because that's where we see the market growing and that's where we see most of our clients moving towards. It's been almost 9 years now in Accenture, and I am obliged and happy to take on this topic on TechGig, and feel free to ask questions as we move from slide to slide, or you may park your questions for the end. And I should be happy to answer as much as I can, or then get back to you later in case I don't have an answer available with me. Okay, so the idea of the presentation today is to keep it not very elaborative in terms of tech. I would like it to be more interactive, where there are questions from your side, and then I try and answer to the best of my ability. So we have 3 main topics that I would take you through today: the key trends in the human capital management market of what we have seen in the last 1 decade. What is the potential of the HCM market growth for the next maybe 2-3 years? What we have seen in a span of 5 years from 2012, 2013 until 2018. And then deep dive into SuccessFactors. So what is it SuccessFactors is all about and what it offers. And then ready to take on questions, but feel free to post your questions if you see on a particular slide as well, and I should be happy to take that on. Okay, so for most of you who have been working for 8-10 years plus now, and in the HCM area, for sure agree with me that the way HCM was seen until probably 5 years before was more of a system of records, which means organizations and firms were not looking at HCM as a strategic function or with little strategic value in the organization. So it was more about time, payroll, and managing the core master data or the employee file into an IT or software way rather than on a hardware way. And that's how HCM was perceived. With the recession that first hit us in 2007, 2008, there was a sudden change in way the organizations realized the talent is their biggest asset, and probably it's most important for them to focus on how to attract, retain, and grow the talent. And that's where we saw a sudden wave of change, right, coming in the way organizations start giving the importance to the HCM function. And then from there on, we saw a continued market volatility and change of expectations from us, from employees, right? As the new generations came in, you know, the expectations was different than what people earlier had from the organizations. And exactly around the same time was when the cloud was born. So there was a complete shift in the way technology landscape would look like as well. So there were too many changes which came in around the time 2007, 2008. And that's brought a whole new trend in the HCM space as well, which means that the clients slowly started looking at a cloud solution compared to an on-premise solution. So there are certain benefits which come in with a cloud, and that is, the first thing is there is no capital expenditure upfront for an organization because it's a hosted solution. So any patches, updates that need to be made to an HCM solution on a yearly basis, on a biannual basis, is kind of out of scope, and it reduces the effort, and the client is freed out of those operational activities. It has a very great UI, very easy to use, user-friendly screens compared to other ERPs. It's faster time to market, which means it takes less time to deploy because it has limited customizations, and it's more about configuring the system and less about customizing the system, which means it's kind of best practice into this offering, into the product, and then deploying those best practices. So slowly came a trend where the clients did not have a choice on if they would move to a cloud, but it was more about when they would move to a cloud. So that's the situation now that is with the clients, is it's just a matter of time as to when they decide to take that step forward. The second one is social. So now all of us are socially enabled through all our phones and through all our apps that we use. And we expect that the workplace also is socially enabled, which means the systems that we use also should match to our expectations. And that's wherein we have the social enablement features coming in, all the latest technologies that we have. The third one is the mobility and the web-based. Gone are the days when you have to be at your desk in order to perform your work, right? We are in an ever-changing, ever-moving mobile world where we are at different places at different times, but that does not or should not impact our work, which means we should be having the ability to connect through mobile applications or through web at any time, anywhere. And the fourth important aspect is about analytics. So it was earlier more about just about having records and reporting on those records, and now it's about KPIs. It's about analyzing large data and finding out trends, right? So that's where the importance has been moving towards in the overall technology space, and HCM is, I would say, quite forefront now when we look at the new trends. Okay, a look at how the market is growing, right? So analysts say that between 2012 and 2017, which is a very short gap of 5-6 years, the way they have seen is the growth of the cloud is much faster compared to the growth of the rest of the IT, right? So the rest of the IT is about infrastructure, middleware, storage, servers, phones, all machines, all of that put together, networking, all of that put together is the rest of IT and just cloud. So if you see, the yellow color is marked with the cloud and the blue is the IT. So while the IT grows 4% over a period of 5-6 years, you would see that the cloud grows by 23%, which means there's a 5 times growth in the cloud area in the same span of time as compared to all the rest of the IT put together. All right, so that's where we see the cloud. So this is only up to a very short span of 5 years, and this was the growth that was forecasted. And that's exactly where we are growing as well. That's what we're seeing in the market as well. If you look at the HCM applications, right, compared to the cloud, so where does HCM fit in? So what the analysts say is, in the same period, what we are trying to say is the HCM market is growing at an annual growth rate of 8.2%, and it's targeted to grow to 15 plus billion by 2018. And the growth that we see by region, on the top that you see is by region, which means blue is the Americas, yellow is the EMEA, and the gray is the APJ market, and with numbers there to show what's the plan for each of those areas, and totaling up to 15 billion. Below, what we see is within the HCM, where is the focus, right? So blue is the core HR, and that's where the majority of our growth is expected to be, as usual, because that's where we would need people to have that system in place, right? So core HR would remain at the top, followed by workforce planning and analytics, because that is something that's growing at a very, very fast pace as a result of analytics taking a forefront, right? And then followed by recruitment, learning, performance, and compensation. So this is where we see the market within the HCM space growing in a period of 5-6 years. Okay. Now we deep dive, after this brief about the trends and the way we see the HCM market growing, we deep dive into SuccessFactors. Most of you who would have read a little bit about SuccessFactors know that the tagline that they used is, "It's time to love work again." So the concept that they came in was something extremely new, right? The UI that they came in, the tiling ability for the system to manage your screen the way you like to look at it daily, and change it daily if you like, changing the themes, the colors. So making it extremely user-friendly, and then something that you would love to do instead of the boring screens that you usually have to see at your workplace. And that's why the tagline suited very well to the product that they introduced. So SuccessFactors started more as a talent management system, which means it had all the modules of recruitment, learning, performance, compensation, followed by workforce analytics. What it missed was a very strong core HR system, which is called the Employee Central System in SuccessFactors. So earlier it was where people bought SuccessFactors only for its talent management system, and then slowly and suddenly people started realizing that what it misses is a strong base, right? A strong employee base or core HR system. And so the focus of SuccessFactors also moved towards Employee Central to make it extremely, extremely robust. And so in the last 3-4 years, the focus for SuccessFactors is primarily to come up with new functionalities every quarter. So for those of you who are aware, but in the SaaS world, because it's SuccessFactors is a SaaS offering, which is software as a service offering, there are releases every quarter, which means every quarter there would be new functionalities. There are certain functionalities of those which are universal or which are mandatory and which will be applied to the system, and there are certain which are optionals, which the client can decide whether they would like to deploy those changes or not. So with each release, there is a lot of focus on new functionalities which is coming in for every area or every module. But Employee Central is seeing a huge amount of changes coming in because it wants to make it extremely robust system, which then can be one single platform for any organization to look at HCM in total, right? And you may already be aware that SuccessFactors is bought over by SAP in early 2012, which makes it an extremely winning proposition for both the companies, because SuccessFactors was extremely strong in talent and SAP was very, very strong in the HCM world and payroll, time and core HR. So it's a win-win situation for both the companies, where clients would prefer to have all of the modules on SuccessFactors and continue to have time and payroll in an on-premise world. Or for clients who want to move even their payroll on the cloud, that's an option, because the engine is the same SAP payroll engine at the back end, but in a hosted solution, which means the country legal changes need not be applied by the organizations themselves, but it will be deployed and applied by SAP themselves at the back end in the hosted solution. But if for a configurator, it's exactly the same, because they enter into the rules and schemas of the payroll as they would on an on-premise solution. So this is how it provides an entire one suite or one platform for the entire HCM operations. Very good analytical skills, so they are metric packs for every module. So they are core metric packs, which is around the core master data. But then there are metric packs for workforce analytics, around learning, around the performance, around the career development, around compensation, so on and so forth, which means it becomes an extremely comprehensive package to buy. There's also workforce planning, which is very important because it wasn't so robust or wasn't almost available in the SAP HCM days. But now there is a very good workforce planning feature also available with SuccessFactors. Okay, so this is how the Bizx suite looks like. So it's called the Bizx, which is the Business Express, and that's how they would like to call themselves, that SuccessFactors would like to call themselves. And then you see the modules on how they've kind of grouped them into 3 groups. So people working on the right things, find the right people to make the things look great and run the business better, right? So run the business better is about the social enablement, which is called the SAP Jam, and the analytics, which will give you an idea on how the business is running. So that's how they've clubbed them under the run the business better. And the rest of it is clubbed under, you know, finding the right people, which is about recruitment, paying them rightly, developing their skills and the learning and doing the right succession planning for people. And then get people working on the right things is about their goals, what they need to work upon, how they would perform to that, and how to plan for the right workforce at the right time, right? Okay, this is just a view about how the screen, so the left-hand side shows about how the screen would look for a SuccessFactors screen, so which means I mentioned about tiling it. So each of those blocks that you see over there, the welcome, the my info, the jam, the goal status is all tiles, and those tiles can be changed. So instead of jam, if you want something else to be there, your budget, you know, your budget status for your department, you can bring in that information there, right? So there are different tiles, and these tiles can be configured the way you like them to be there. So your to-do list, whether you want them in the left or you want them in the right, and so on and so forth. So it's extremely user-friendly, extremely easy to manage and change. And the color and the background and the theming can be changed as you would like to see your personalized look and feel, right? So that's how it is, you know, and partly relating to time to love work again. And also that it is enabled through all mobile applications, so be it your iPad, be it your phones, your Android or your iPhones, or whichever app or mobile devices you're using, you can easily connect, which means the manager can approve flows or workflows or time sheets for people, or leave approvals for people on the move and does not need to be having an access to the system at all times, right? So that's how it enables mobility as well. Okay. The Gartner, the IDC, the Forresters done a study, and this is the study as of 2014, and in both of them we can see that SuccessFactors is already in the leaders quadrant and having the largest footprint, right, with a full vendor participation, which means it provides all modules end to end, which is difficult, right, for competitors. So there are some who are very strong on payroll and others very strong on talent, but now SuccessFactors has come up with a full solution, right from Employee Central to Cloud Payroll, which means which is a full vendor participation and a complete availability of a complete HCM solution all at one place. And in all of be it Deloitte or be it Gartner or be it Forrester, we would see SuccessFactors as in the leaders quadrant and almost front running in all of these analysis. Okay. So the way SuccessFactors and SAP is working is to allow the clients an option on how they can be deployed. So for clients who already had purchased the payroll solution, the time solution, and a PA and an OM, that is personal administration and organization management, that's the core HR, along with an ESS and MSS, which is employee self-service, and a manager self-service in the SAP HCM world, can continue to choose to be on there. And then, so that's marked in by the maroon color, that's the darker color that you see on the screen. And then for the rest of the talent management suite can be brought over onto SuccessFactors. And when we say talent management, what SuccessFactors means by talent management is all other modules, which is recruitment, learning, succession, performance, compensation, analytics, and workforce planning. So all of these is kind of part of the talent management suite, and all of it can be on SuccessFactors, very tightly integrated with SAP. So there are certain standard connectors that they have, which means there's minimum effort to turn on the connectors between an SAP solution and a SuccessFactors solution. Alternatively, for clients who do not have a robust system in place already for HCM, and then they're looking at a new solution, or there is a complete revamp that they would like to do because they have different subsidiaries or different companies or different countries under them on different HCM systems, and would like to consolidate all of it onto one, and is looking for a new solution. Then the option is that they can have everything on SuccessFactors, which means the Employee Central, the talent management, the workforce planning, and analytics. The front ending anyways is great here, and then you have the cloud payroll as well. So all of it can be then SuccessFactors. Okay. A little bit insight on how the integration would take place, right? Or how it would look like, or what are the different approaches that the client could have. So the one thing is that we spoke about, the left-hand side says that the talent and the workforce planning and analytics is on the cloud, and the core HR is could be anything. It could be SAP, it could be non-SAP, but there's a core HR, which is a different system. And there is a talent management, which is on the cloud, which is SuccessFactors, which means you can easily connect the two. What we've shown in the center is typically known as the side-by-side solution, which SuccessFactors came up with last year, which means there is a possibility that certain countries for one company is on SAP HCM, but there are smaller countries which do not have a robust system and which are not on SAP HCM, so they can be easily brought onto Employee Central, which means one company can have two systems of records SAP HCM for some countries or some geographies, and SuccessFactors Employee Central for the others. And then have the talent management anyways on SuccessFactors, right? And still you could do the connection because it's all very well integrated, closely knit, and you could have your reporting and one source of truth even in this situation. So that's called the side-by-side of the two-tier HCM solution from SAP. And a full cloud hosted solution, which means everything is on the cloud and on the HCM side, and the company can still have an SAP ERP for the rest of the functions like finance, like the CRM, the SRM, and so on and so forth. And they would need to be connected anyways because the master data needs to flow into the other systems as well. And so that's why a middleware and an integration. Okay. The way this integrations can be done is about you can have a direct integration, which is via the SFTP, which means that there is an SFTP, so FTP server, which comes along with SuccessFactors, and the files can be placed in and out on the FTP server and get connected to the other side. You can use the SAP PI, so for clients who already have purchased SAP PI and already in the landscape, then can continue using the SAP PI to connect with the cloud applications. SAP has also come up with HANA Cloud integration. So while it has been developing it from some time, this is the year when they're going to announce a kind of completed all their testing and are able to now announce in a very short time the HANA Cloud integration. Maybe a quarter from now is when the HANA Cloud integration would come up. And that's another way where they would have a standard connectors built in, which means there's minimum effort to do integrations with some of the systems, not only between the SAP Cloud and the SAP on-premise system, but they also have connectors even today with certain benefit providers, with certain insurance companies, so the larger ones in UK, US, all of them are having a standard connector, which means to connect to a Max Bupa insurance system, which means or a benefit system. It's easy with that connector, and all you need to do is turn on the connector and do a small amount of testing before that integration is on between the two systems. Or they could be third-party integration platforms, which means there could be a company who's using a TIBCO or a MuleSoft or a cast iron or a Bizx already in its landscape and would not want to change because of SuccessFactors, and they don't need to change because you can still use SuccessFactors to integrate via this middleware to the other third parties in the landscape of the organization. Okay, so with this I end my presentation, and I'm happy to take on questions, whatever you may have around SuccessFactors, and I'll try to the best of my ability to answer them as much as I can.
Thank you, Sejal. Thanks for the insightful presentation.
So I see a question.
Yeah. Yes, we would request
So
you
I
to.
see a couple of questions, and I see a question, can the system integrate with core and is extensible? Not sure I understood, Rajit, what that means, but probably you mean to say that SuccessFactors integrate with an SAP HCM core. Is that what you mean? If that is what you mean, then yes, it definitely can via all the mediums that we just looked through, whether it is using HANA Cloud integration, whether it's using SFTP, or whether there is Dell Boomi. So Dell Boomi is a preferred, as of now, a preferred integration middleware for SuccessFactors. So Boomi is a middleware from the company Dell, and they have built in a lot of connectors on the Boomi. And so the Boomi is also a platform as a service. So it is a PaaS, which means a middleware on the cloud, versus an SAP PI, which is a middleware on the cloud, on-premise. So it's a PaaS service, and using any of these, whether it is HCI, whether it's SFTP, whether it's any other middleware or Dell Boomi, you can integrate the SuccessFactors system with any other system that it requires to connect to. Perfect. I see a very good question from Ashish, which says, who will support SuccessFactors in any organization who wants to adopt? Yes, so as we saw, that most clients started adopting, the early clients started adopting SuccessFactors about 3 years ago, and last year is when we saw that the clients came to an end to an implementation. And so there are certain roles, and this question came up as to how do we support this, right? Are all the rights with the client? Are all with SAP or SuccessFactors, or do partners play a role in there? So we as Accenture worked very closely with SAP and SuccessFactors to work out an application outsourcing offering, wherein it's very clearly demarcation with what are the activities that SuccessFactors is responsible for, what are the activities that we as partner can support in the run phase, and what the client needs to do. And so partners do play a role, because there are certain activities which clients are not allowed to perform. Some of them they are not advisable to perform, because not having that in-depth understanding and knowledge. So it's better that they do not work on it, and some of them they're just not allowed to do it from a system perspective. So a partner is required by most clients who go live, and there is also a support that they need to buy from SuccessFactors for support to their infrastructure, because it's a hosted solution and it needs updates, regular updates, and that's why they need to buy a support from SuccessFactors as well, and they need to buy a support from the client as well. But the activities are different, what SuccessFactors would perform and what partners would perform on the system. How good is the future for SuccessFactors? NetSuite is emerging, SAP ERP HCM system. Yeah. So there are many providers, which is kind of Workday. There's Oracle also with it. There's NetSuite. All of them are coming up with HCM systems, but I think SuccessFactors has a forefront for two primary reasons. One, because it has an extremely large global reach because of its acquisition with SAP. So partners or rather firms and organizations who are already on SAP would think it's best for them to move, and technically also it's best for them to move to SuccessFactors rather than going for a new solution like a NetSuite or a Workday. So that's one of the reasons. So wherever there's a reach of SAP, SuccessFactors has an easy access there. That's the one thing. Second is, as I said, right, it has a complete offering, which is very difficult for any other provider to develop that, because it got bought over by SAP. It has the benefit of providing payroll for 50-60 countries now, right? So it has the benefit of whatever 35-40 languages plus 60 country payrolls. all of it, right? All of it built on one single solution, and which is almost impossible for people to, or other systems to come up with that kind of a robust solution. And that's why we say that, SuccessFactors is much in the leaders quadrant, and we see it remaining in the leaders quadrant for the next few years, even if there are other competitors which come up. So the competitors one may be very good in recruitment, and another one very good in LMS, but if their clients were looking for one single solution to support everything, then probably they will not be able to go in for the smaller solutions. They will have to look for something larger, and that's where the combination of SAP and SuccessFactors suits best, basically. When should companies use SuccessFactors, and when SAP HCM Talent Suite? Okay, so there is as per the roadmap from SAP, that after 2017, they are not going to even support their talent suite on-premise, right? Because all of us who have been working in the SAP HCM space know that they did not have a great system on-premise for performance, for learning, for recruitment. It just about began developing there and rolling out these features about e-recruitment and LMS and so on and so forth, and by that time it bought SuccessFactors, so it decided strategically to stop any further investment in the on-premise talent side of modules, and rather focus only on selling SuccessFactors, which means, and then they quickly decided and announced their roadmap that for clients who have already bought the license, they would support until, I think, 2017, or in some cases until 2020, but then beyond that there is no further support also, and they have absolute no investment to enhance these modules, which means then the client have to make a decision fast as to when they need to move to the cloud in order to get the best solutions for their talent management. How much time does the Employee Central implementation usually take? So now this is not something that can be answered offhand, but yes, you can do it as low as 3 months. Yeah, or there are large clients where we have done it for 2 years also on multiple releases as Accenture. So it can vary. It depends on the size of the client, the geographic spread of the client, and the need and the ask from the client, the number of integrations. That's very important there, because more the number of integrations, more complex it starts getting, and that's where the timeline extends. So if it's extremely greenfield, we can even propose as small as 3 months to implement the Employee Central in total. Can not an organization use their own? No, it's a public cloud, so they cannot use their own. It's not a private cloud offering, SuccessFactors, and hence they cannot use their own infrastructure for SuccessFactors. What is the release cycle with roadmap requirement? Not sure I understand, but the release cycle is quarterly, and it has a schedule there. So there is one in February, followed by May, followed by June, July, August, and then by November. So that's how the release cycle goes every quarter. And I'm not sure with roadmap requirement, what does that mean? I'm not very sure, but the release cycle is technically 4 times in a year. Any more questions? Okay. How should I prepare for SuccessFactors on campus recruitment program? So yes, so there are 2 ways. Because we know SuccessFactors is new, is niche, there isn't a market already, a strong market already available with people with SuccessFactors skills. So so the ideal way to do is if people who have good core HCM process knowledge, which means they have been working in the domain area of recruitment, of learning, of performance in an organization, can be trained on SuccessFactors, because SuccessFactors technically is not very difficult to learn. So process guys also are suited to learn SuccessFactors, and so are people who have already a PeopleSoft, Oracle, or an SAP HCM background. So there are two ways of moving there. There are openings for SuccessFactors, and if you are found to be strong in your HCM process knowledge and your understanding of how processes within HCM work, then I'm sure you would be picked up by the organization and then trained on SuccessFactors, and then asked to work on SuccessFactors projects. How appropriate is SuccessFactors for a small size business? Yes, so SuccessFactors works where you cannot use SuccessFactors extremely. So we have had clients where we were just with greenfields somewhere in the Middle East, where they are just coming up with some greenfields over there, and the plan to grow in the next 5 years is high, but at the moment they are 150, 200, 250 kind of employees, and they've also chosen SuccessFactors, which means it's suitable for all kind of organizations, as long as the organization sees themselves growing, sees value coming out from using a sophisticated product for HCM.
So dear participants, if you have any more questions, please submit them using questions tab on your control panel. Okay, thank you, Sejal. Thank you so much for this insightful presentation. It was really a great session. I'm really thankful to you for conducting this webinar with us today.
Thank you, TechGig, and thank you all participants for taking off time. And if you have any questions that may come up later, feel free to post it later on onto the site, and then we'll try and our best to answer as much as possible.
Thank you, Sejal. Yes,
Thank you.
I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgig.com very soon. If you have any more questions, you can log on to techgig.com, go to this webinar page and submit your questions there in an open forum. And thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time today. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.